We are the restaurant brokers and we sell restaurants.
We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm over a decade ago.
Atlanta, Georgia was our starting point, but our brand is spreading nationwide. We define restaurant brokerage and help buyers just like these.
Our dream, our goal, open up a restaurant, loving life, serving people breakfast and lunch, and then enjoying the rest of the day with them and ourselves.
Buying an existing restaurant, leasing a closed restaurant space, or purchasing a restaurant franchise. We help buyers satisfy their appetite for acquisition.
I'm part of a husband and wife team with this fella.
Working with my wife has been a lot of fun. The ultimate goal for everybody here is to make this work. And because we have different strengths, we bring different angles to the deal.
The process begins with our powerhouse website, WeSellRestaurants.com, where buyers sign online confidentiality agreements and browse restaurants for sale.
Then we send buyers undercover to check out a restaurant and decide if it's the right one for them.
Buyers get our proprietary business analysis tool with all the financial details on the business for sale.
After studying the restaurant inside and out, it's back to our office.
We're deal makers. We write contracts and negotiate terms for buyers and sellers. That's why we sell more restaurants than any other firm in the nation. We are the restaurant brokers. Our name says it all. I'm Robin Gagnon.
And I'm Eric Gagnon, and we sell restaurants. We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm, We Sell Restaurants, over a decade ago. You can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com.
That's not all. We're on your radio once a week with the leading authorities in the restaurant business, talking about subjects trending in this industry. Tweet your questions while we're on the air to our Twitter handle. We're at Sell Restaurants. Post to our Facebook page, facebook.com/WeSellRestaurants. If we don't get to your questions, we'll follow up on our social media channels.
Our goal is to satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success. If you have any ideas or comments about the show, I would love to hear from you. Send me an email. My email is Eric, E-R-I-C, @WeSellRestaurants.com.
Well, today the restaurant brokers are talking to those who took on Bobby Flay of Food Network in the hit Food Network show Beat Bobby Flay. We're going to learn what that experience was like. Did our guests beat one of the most well-known celebrity chefs on the planet? Would they do it again? Was he gracious in defeat or not so much? Let's find out.
And to find out today, our first guest is Brian Tsao, the son of a Chinese father and Korean mother. Brian grew up in Queens, New York. Chef Brian started out wanting to be a musician, but 6 years spent in China and immersion in its culinary diversity led him to a different path. Brian's mentors convinced him to pursue a formal culinary education, and he enrolled at the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. In 2013, Brian brought his heritage and travel experience throughout Asia to Mira Sushi Izakaya by fusing Japanese, Chinese, Korean, and American cuisines. In March 2014, Brian appeared on Food Network's Beat Bobby Flay, where the two chefs competed by cooking a dish with an ingredient chosen by Flay. Brian challenged Flay to a taco battle and prevailed with his Beef Bulgogi Tacos, making him the only chef to beat Flay during the first season. Brian has appeared on Fox 5 Good Day of New York, CBS TV, and the Food Network's Chop. Brian, good to have you on today.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, and then we have Adam Halberg, a graduate of Emory University with a BA in Religion and Culture. He made the decision to pursue a restaurant career at an unusual moment. While in Chicago, he was midway through managing a travel show celebrating the 25th anniversary of Lego when he began plotting a return to school for a culinary education. He earned a degree from the Art Institute of Atlanta, pushed through some of Atlanta's most respected restaurants, such as Justin Ward's Harvest and La Grotto Restaurante in Buckhead. As his passion for American ingredients grew, he traveled to Maine to work at James Beard winner Melissa Kelly's Seaside Restaurant. He also found his place there and became culinary director for the successful Barteca restaurant group with 50 uniquely designed restaurants, each with pedigreed chefs and locally sourced ingredients. He was in an episode of Beat Bobby Flay titled Culinary Validation on the Food Network show. Adam, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
All right.
And to complete our panel today, we have Chef Jay Jackson. Jay Jackson has become synonymous with great food and a successful private chef and motivational speaker based in D.C. metro area. Jackson created his own personal style by mixing his love of food with that of techniques from some of the best chefs in the country and beyond. Jackson has been the self-taught chef for the past few years and is a regular culinary contributor on Fox and Friends morning show. He also had made appearances on Neighborhood Chef on the ABC's The Crew, and his accomplishments include crowd favorite at the Travels Channel's Fiery Food Challenge, winner of the DC local competition of Top Chefs for Love nightclub, and season 4 contestant on Food Network's Beat Bobby Flay. Jackson has provided his culinary services to the likes of Jill Scott and has toured the world with Lady Gaga. He also speaks to youth about achieving their dreams and mastering their craft. Chef Jay, nice to have you on today.
Great morning to you. How are you?
Fine.
All right. So I just have one standard question everybody has to answer, and that is, you knew you were going on the show Beat Bobby Flay. How in the world do you prepare for that? Brian, you want to take that first? How do you prepare to beat Bobby Flay?
Yeah, sure. I actually had done Chopped prior to that and had lost pretty badly and was personally very ashamed of myself for that loss. So when I was told I was going to do this show, I decided to get all Rocky Balboa and train a lot, meaning that I would give myself little challenges on a daily basis, making sure that I can complete them within 15 minutes rather than the given 20 minutes. I also made sure that I could make my own dish within half the time that would be given for that challenge. Granted that I would get to face Bobby Flay. And it was just a lot of mental preparation, a lot of meditation, and making sure this time I was over-prepared, so that when I went in and I did face Bobby, that I could really, look at him square in the eyes and know that I'm bringing my A game.
Love that answer.
That sounds good. How about the rest of you? How did you guys prepare? Adam?
Well, cooking in 20 minutes or 45 minutes and cooking under pressure isn't all that different from what we do every day at the restaurant. When people are coming in ordering food and, they want it out fast and they want it on point. That said, yeah, I did a little bit of practicing just to make sure that I've had a couple of kind of good procedures up my sleeve that I could pull out that may work for different types of surprise ingredients. So I had a couple of options in the back of my head, but the actual cooking part within the time frame was relatively easy. I mean, if anything, it's longer than we usually get to cook good food in the restaurant.
Okay, Chef Jackson, how about you?
Well, the first thing I did was call my mother and told her I was going to be on TV, so she was happy about that. But seriously, I think I focused a lot more on the second round than I did the first round, and I spent a lot of time kind of trying to perfect my signature dish. And I didn't do a whole lot of practicing with the actual first round, like Chef said before me. We kind of do that on a regular basis, making great food in short amounts of time. So I felt like I had a good grasp and I could move quickly, and I wasn't that far removed from working on a line and knowing how fast you have to be and put out great food in a short period of time. So I spent a lot of time on my signature dish and really perfected that.
So, Brian, you mentioned that you had been on Chopped previously, so you were used to having that camera in your face while you're trying to pull something together. Adam, did you or Chef Jay, had you previously done something on TV where you're used to that pressure and experience or that lens in your face or not? What about you, Adam?
Well, funny enough, I feel like I have broadly missed the entire reality TV competition revolution that's happened on television. When I started cooking was right around the time that all the stuff started to pop up on TV, and I went for about 12 years without a television. And
wow,
kind of woke up one morning and everybody was trying to be on TV, and I wasn't quite sure why. I have not been on any other TV shows, and if anything, this was more of a whim than anything else. It was a ton of fun, but no, not something that I'd done before.
How about you, Chef Jackson?
I had never been on a food competition show. I had been on TV before, but food competition was something totally different to me, and it was a really eye-opening experience for me. I had heard and knew other chefs that had been on other shows, but this was definitely my first foray into television competition.
Now, let me ask you this. You guys said, you prepare your signature dish, but how do you come up with that? Do you go to your go-to dish and you kind of put a spin on it? you try something new, different, you just do it a million times till you're ready, or you try to throw Bobby for a curveball. When he gets intel on you, he thinks you're going to do this, and you show up with that. So how did that come about? Adam, start us off on that one.
Well, for us, it was actually relatively easy. Bobby Flay comes in and eats in one of our restaurants in Connecticut on a pretty regular basis during the summer, and he always orders the same thing. So I thought it would be fun to challenge Bobby back on a dish that he has eaten plenty of times but may not expect to have to cook. So
love
we were doing
that.
We have a variation on chicken scarpaello, which we call chicken al pimientos in the Barcelona in our Spanish concept, and he comes in and eats it all the time, and that was going to be the signature dish.
That's great. How about you, Brian?
For me, I knew that I was going to have a second chance at proving myself on a television competition. So for me, I just wanted to go straight for the jugular, straight for the kill, and I figured let me challenge him on something he would not expect to have anyone challenge him on, which was tacos. Everyone knows that Bobby Flay's been making his living on tacos for a long time. It's probably what he's most associated with as far as a specific dish goes. And and I decided to just throw some Asian flair into it, and I figured that would kind of shock him and shake him a little even before the competition started.
So, I love this because none of you sounded intimidated. So, Chef Jay, is that the same for you? You were like going to take it straight to him. That's pretty much what Brian said, and Adam, because you had it in mind what you were going to do going in.
Oh, absolutely. I think any chef wants to prove themselves, and so going up against a legend like Bobby Flay, you want to take him head on. And so I wanted to challenge him in his flavors. So I tried to come up with great flavor combinations that will work, maybe add in a couple of elements that he didn't think about, and just really try to encompass what a perfect dish is composed of, develop the texture, develop the taste, and just develop an all-around great dish.
So how's that? Let me ask you guys, because you did that, you were preparing for that, it kind of gets your creative juice flowing, and how does that make you better after that show? Do you guys look at the restaurant and it's like, hey, we got to get to that level on an ongoing basis, or it's just a one-time thing? Did it inspire your crew? Did it inspire your restaurant to be better after, you get the showdown with Bobby Flay? Chef Jackson, why don't you take that one first?
I think every experience kind of encourages me to kind of be the best I can, particularly when you go up against somebody who's a legend. It just challenges you to kind of motivated me to just go out and try to be even better and continue to progress. I take every day in the kitchen as an opportunity to learn, regardless of how many things I've been able to do. I'm always looking to improve. So this was definitely a great learning experience for me.
Good. How about you, Brian?
For myself, after they said those words, Brian, you've beaten Bobby Flay. I was actually kind of at a loss for a day or two, because that was kind of one of the things on my bucket list to cross out, was to go up against an Iron Chef or win a major television competition. But really, I think any good chef or any good cook would want to challenge themselves past that they wouldn't just get complacent with that victory. And actually, that made me really push myself afterwards.
Did your staff follow through as well? Did they got inspired to keep pushing with you, or?
Oh, absolutely. They were, of course, proud of their big bad chef that he was able to pull a win. And I think after kind of the dust settled, and I went into the kitchen. I said, "Okay, guys, let's get cracking. Let's make some good stuff here. But let's keep making good stuff." Right away, I went to the farmer's market and just bought a bunch of random ingredients, and we were all having a lot of fun.
And Adam, you were not just you did Beat Bobby Flay. You also have chefs within your kitchens that have competed on Chopped. So you're kind of just extending that legacy out, and you have more and more people on your staff and your team that you're bringing into the fold, and they're getting that TV exposure. Is that helping business, and if so, how?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time promoting the chefs in the kitchen. We've got a number of restaurants, but it's not like we've got some celebrity chef that's running around that is the face of all the restaurants. We much prefer you, when you go into your restaurant that's in your neighborhood, to have the opportunity to know the chef there, have them cook directly for you. So getting those people the exposure is far more important than putting me or any of our owners on TV. So I think we've got about 5 chop champions within the restaurants that we have.
Wow.
There's a good number of them that have been on TV. As far as bringing business in, it always gets people who are regulars at our restaurants excited that, somebody that they know, somebody whose food they go and eat on a regular basis, was on TV or, brought home some sort of an award of some sort. That it just makes them more excited to have their favorite restaurant be promoted in that way. As far as getting better after the fact and kind of being inspired by it, I think anytime we as chefs have the opportunity to kind of hone our craft, it's almost like editing a book. The writing of the book is the easy part. It's the editing part that really turns it into something special. So, our chicken pimientos dish is just, our best-selling entree in the restaurant and has been for years in Barcelona. To have the opportunity to really sort of stop and think about it and pick it apart piece by piece and figure out how to make each step of that cooking process perfect and how to make it better, really can't do anything but help the execution of the dish in the restaurants. I actually went from restaurant to restaurant for a while, challenging each of the sous chefs who butchers the most chicken in the restaurant on a kind of a speed competition to see who could butcher a chicken the fastest, kind of the way Brian
Sounds like
described.
fun.
Trying to trim down his cook time on the dishes that he had planned by having chicken butchery competitions. I think we got chicken butchering down to about 40 seconds or so.
Wow.
Wow.
To make sure that we were completely ready to go for it. But it turned out a better way for us, a more efficient way of cleaning chicken and butchering chicken, and we did that with each step of the dish to make it awesome.
That's awesome. That's a great story there. Great way to motivate the team. Hey, Brian, I know you've been on a couple of shows, but, the live audience itself, 'cause, most of you probably cook, even if you have an open kitchen, it's kind of a window, a pass through to the area. Very few people are totally wide open to the public. But how was it to really cook in front of a live audience? Does this add to the pressure on top of Bobby Flay's, the cameras and the mics and everything, or is it just something like you don't even notice it because your head is down, buried into the prep table?
To be honest, I have to give big credit to the live audience because they kind of fueled me to push even harder. I was a professional musician prior to becoming a chef, and I am no stranger to being on the stage, to having a live audience in front of me, to trying to give the audience a show while also feeding off of the energy that hopefully they'll reciprocate back to you. And as soon as I stepped out into that Beat Bobby Flay kitchen stadium, I came out with guns blazing, my arms in the air, pointing at everybody and trying to get them onto my side because as far as I know, everyone's there for Bobby Flay. They don't know who Brian Tsao is. As soon as everything started rolling, I just noticed that more and more audience members were cheering me on by name. They just weren't going, shouting, "Ooh," or "Hey," or "Keep going." They were actually saying my name. And I knew that I was getting the audience on my side. So, again, that really motivated me to push even harder. And I think even on the episode, Bobby said himself, this guy likes an audience.
I'll tell you what, that is so courageous, though. So, Chef Jackson, did you come out like that? Did you come out guns blazing and get the audience on your side? I don't know if I think I'd be too intimidated on national TV myself.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm a huge sports fan, and so when I came out and they had the smoke, I just used it as an opportunity to kind of reincarnate my football entrance like a famous football player. I came out and gave the salute and threw my apron around like a matador, and I came out ready, fired up. And like he said before, the audience is great. I mean, they really encourage you. They were also cheering me on by name after a while, and it's a great motivation. I personally love that interaction between a chef and a client or a crowd, and love interacting with them. So it was a great experience, and to be able to interact with them and get that fuel from them to finish strong and make sure you finish on time. It was wonderful.
So, Adam, what about you?
Absolutely. The chefs kind of live for a certain type of instant gratification of, I made this for you, you eat it, you got a big smile on your face, and that makes me happy. I mean, it's not a slow burn business. And just as bringing a dish out to somebody in the dining room and getting them to smile, when you got a bunch of people yelling and screaming around you, it's just a ton of fun. There's a real exchange of energy. I mean, like, Brian said, being a musician, I used to be a performer on the comedy end, and it's all about energy exchange. You give something out to the audience, they give it back to you, and you use that energy to push forward.
Well, so you all know, I have been competing against Bobby Flay myself in my mind for about 20 years, and I am undefeated. Every time I cook on the grill, I take it to the table, and I say, take that, Bobby Flay. But I've never gotten the call to actually compete against him. So how did you guys come about? Did somebody send it out for you? How did you get to be on that show? I mean, Brian, why don't you let us know how did that happen? How do you get to be on the show? Because I mean, I'd like to be there. I think I can beat him. I'm 200-0 right now. So
for myself, I had done Chopped the year prior. I had always, if I had an extra minute, I would sign up for something. And I guess they got annoyed with me enough that we keep seeing this guy's name pop up. You better bring him on again. To be honest, I couldn't answer that for you, other than it was just me signing up, and I guess maybe I made a good enough of an impression on Chopped. I mean, I did headbang and play guitar for them when they were filming my bio intro, so maybe that's what was the selling factor.
What about you, Adam? Did they come looking for you, or did you go looking for them, or was it mutual?
It's funny. I get calls from casting agents for different shows on a pretty regular basis, just because I've got a lot of different personalities of different types of chefs that I work with. So if they're looking for somebody who fits a certain mold, or would be a good character on TV, or would be a potent competitor for one of their shows, oftentimes they call me to see whether or not we've got anybody that would be a good fit. And in this time, I think I gave them a list of 2 or 3 of the chefs that work with us that we were looking to kind of promote, and they said, you always promote other people. How come you never do this? And I said, all right, well, I'll give it a shot on a playful whim, because I usually like pushing the shows to other chefs within the restaurants, and they decided to go with it.
Okay, now wait a minute. I just want to say, all these casting directors are calling you, but I made a note. You said earlier that you went 12 years without a TV in your home, right?
I did. It was one of those things, you work so many hours working in kitchens and restaurants that I knew that if I had a television there, that I would watch it. And, when you've got that many hours at work and that few number of hours to spend on the rest of your day and the rest of your life, you want to take advantage of it. And sticking something that's going to suck you in, it was never really something that interested me.
How about you, Chef Jackson?
I missed watching most of the shows, but they would always call me because I know I work with so many different chefs.
I love that.
How about you, Chef Jackson? How did that happen?
Yeah, I did actually get recruited by them. I had applied to a couple of shows prior, and I actually know a lot of other chefs, and so I think through kind of networking, other people find out about me. So I do get calls for other things, local stuff and competitions and just random things. So I did get recruited by one of the casting agencies to apply. And so I applied and was fortunately selected.
Okay, so we are going to continue this conversation with those contestants that have been on that hit Food Network show, Beat Bobby Flay. It's fascinating. This is Eric and Robin Gagnon, the restaurant brokers. Remember, we are on your radio every week to satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success. We're going to continue the show right after this very brief timeout and learn more about those contestants who actually beat Bobby Flay.